Hello, welcome to today's edition of Breaking News, which today's topic is, it's a doozy, dealing with difficult and or toxic people. Now you could also swap in any other adjectives such as challenging, incompetent, or a theme that seems to be showing up lately is people who have that learned helplessness around you. And the reason we're talking about it is because this is one of the hardest things about working on teams, working in workplaces where I'll just say, not everybody is like you. Not everybody is how you want them to be, right? And yet we still have to figure out how to navigate and move forward with these folks in order to get your work done. Because real talk, this is the life that we live a lot of times. Okay, so I'm going to start with the first foundational concept, which is remember your circles of control. Now, there's another video where I do a deep dive into circles of control and all the details, but for now, simply know and remember that the inner circle here is what you control, your actions and your mindset. The middle circle is what you do not control, but what you can influence. So the example here is trying to change someone else. We'll get into that in a second. And then the outermost circle is things that you have no control or influence over. So those are the societal, global, systemic things that we as one individual or even a small collective, we don't control that stuff. So the key is focus on what you do control, that inner circle, your thoughts, your behaviors, your conduct, your reactions, your mindset. All right, now, because we're talking about dealing with difficult people, toxic people, etc., first thing is when people show you who they are, learn to see that, recognize it for what it is, and then we have to learn to accept it. All right. That example I had on the slide prior about like trying to change other people, we cannot control or change other people. That is their work to do. Your job is simply to see the signs, pick up what is being put down for you, and recognize that that person is telling you and showing you who they are at any given time through their actions or inaction, right? Whichever that might be. So when this happens, it's really important to be clear, both with yourself. This is the first negotiations with yourself. Be clear with yourself and also be clear with them. What boundaries do you need in place? What lines are you going to kind of draw in the sand for yourself so you know how to act after that? Remember, that's the inner circle of control. And, what are you going to say no to and no longer accept in terms of, how they're treating you or how they're acting and all that type of thing. Now, I know this feels easier said than done, but we're going to get into a couple of ways, specifically 2 ways that you can really be clear about this, because it sucks. It sucks to realize that somebody is toxic, that you learn that they are a difficult person to work with, because we all want to like give people the benefit of the doubt and hope for the best and believe in the best and all of that, especially if you're entering kind of a new environment or you're at a new level of the game, so to speak, in your career. But the truth is, we don't control that stuff. It's the hand we've been dealt kind of thing. And you decide, right? You decide from there, what do you want to do? How do you want to proceed? So I'm going to give you 2 kind of categories or buckets of ways that you can sort of think about this, things that are fully within your control that you can do when you're in this situation of, having kind of no choice but to interact or deal or interface with certain people that you might maybe rather would not have to interact with them. You know what I'm saying? All right. The first is policies and boundaries. All right. That was already foreshadowed in the graphics in the prior slide there, with the no and the healthy boundaries thing. So you can decide, what are your policies and boundaries with respect to this person or in general, right? As your rules, kind of rules of engagement for how people can work with you. And the more that you are clear and consistent and hold these boundaries again and again, you are essentially training other people how best to work with you. So that's a win in and of itself. I know sometimes you feel like, oh, this is so annoying. I wish I didn't have to waste time on this. Actually, you're investing in your own development and your leadership here too, because your policies and your boundaries, as you refine them, and the picture here I chose very intentionally of a piece of paper, because us writing these things down and externalizing them makes it feel more real to us, and it can help us, do that first negotiation with yourself thing, and really hold to them when it's hard. Anyway, getting to the substance of what these policies and boundaries might be. Maybe it is. I just did this with a client not too long ago in a toxic workplace. setting a max amount of time per week or per day that you interact with this person, or that you allow yourself to think about this person. Could be a quota. I've written in my newsletter, The Trajectory, about a quota, a max quota for how many F's you give in a particular week. Like if you're out for that week and you save those for the important things, right? The super important things that are related to your career mission, to your bigger work, your independent work, you have a max of say 3 or 5 in a week. And if you're out for that week, too bad. This has to wait till the next week. It could mean not replying for a certain period of time, or not allowing yourself to be in a one-on-one situation with them. You always bring an ally, or it's always with somebody else, a third party there. It could be not being as nice as before. And I put that in brackets because, I have all sorts of issues about, us as women of color and people of color, women in general, like having to be nice and like all this stuff. But consider that a stand-in or a placeholder for whatever the term may be for you. So if you were extending a certain amount of grace or compassion or leeway to a person, and they show you who they are, and remember that meme from before, you're picking up what they're putting down, then you don't treat them the same. They don't get that VIP all-star treatment anymore. It's reeled back to another level, unless and until they prove themselves really worthy, and that's honestly rare. But anyway, the second thing I'm going to encourage you all to think about whether you can do is increasing distance between you and the other person. Okay, there's a whole slide. This is something I pulled from Instagram that a client sent to me from the account Sir John. Energy is expensive. We're not giving that out for free this year. So remember that, all right? If you need to increase your distance from this particular person, which relates to some of these policies and boundaries up here, especially the top ones and things, do that, and 3 things to remember as you figure out how you increase the distance is 1, be strategic. So do you need to kind of take a bit of time to build a case first in order to, say, transfer teams? Do you need to work on an exit strategy or transition strategy where you literally get out of the place, or the context? Is there a way that you can strategize and find a way around them or above them? That could also be possible. And then, speaking of what's possible, think about what is possible. Is it possible to rescope so that you're less interacting with them? Is it possible for you to increase your visibility to external or internal sponsors and champions so that there can be other folks who can, separate you both, create a buffer, maybe even transition them out, that type of thing. And the third one is to think outside the box. So, that's for you to consider, for you to think creatively about what is possible and how you can be strategic about this. But these are 2 ways that you can think about how to approach dealing with challenging and or toxic people. So I hope this helps. Let me know questions, thoughts, pushback, all of that. And yeah, I wish you all the best, because this is something that's super hard and we all have to deal with it some way or another. So the key is simply try some things out, learn from them, collect the data back, reflect on it non-judgmentally, try some other things out if you need to, and you'll be on your way. Always refocus back to what you control, what you are thinking and your mindset, and what matters most to you. All right, see you next time. Good luck.